I didn't know if it was the internet at the time, and I just kept on refreshing. I was like, what? And then that's why I came over.
10 minutes later. Nice one.
Oh, I thought that you were everything.
I didn't know if it
all happens for me.
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
Okay, I think we're back with YouTube. Okay, we're there. I will just put a couple of notes in. Hang on. They heard the Fifth Element and went, cut them off. Okay, so I think we're back on YouTube. And it might take people a minute to find us again, but okay. I know they're there. All right. Okay, sorry guys, we were talking for 10 more minutes. We didn't even realize we'd been cut off YouTube. So there's that. So I do apologize. And now I have no idea how to pick up where we left you on YouTube, but I think we were basically saying it's an individual inside job.
Yeah.
And no one can do it for you. Can't do it for anyone else. And we've just got to accept that everyone's journey is part of their greater being's plan. And that includes, which we briefly touched on, the vast number of people who are leaving the game right now. And yeah, it's not our, there's no judgment in that.
No, there's no judgment.
Or blame. I mean, I know from a certain perspective, it's, you know, the dark guys are killing everyone off. But that's not my perspective at all. I do believe this is the soul's choice.
Yeah. And understanding that each soul has their own soul choice that you can't interfere with. You can sway them for a certain time maybe, or influence them, but they have their own path. Will bring you peace. Like it's brought me peace. It brings you an understanding. You go, okay, well, that's just their journey. So I will love them. I'll be around them. Doesn't mean, I heard a great saying, I'll share my food with you, but it doesn't mean you get to sit at the table.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I really love that, because you have to earn to sit at the table sometimes. And that earning is just you going through the understanding processes of what has been going on. And some people really do understand what has been going on. You can't bring someone that has just read everything on YouTube 2 days ago and bring them to the table and have a conversation with these people. It will completely overwhelm them. It will, it could send them into discomfort. Everyone's got to go through this journey at their pace. And you say it, and that we're meant, for some reason, we're meant to see that as well. That's part of our journey. So there's
there are two things there. I mean, one is all will be seen.
Yes.
And that goes back for me on a personal level to about 2010 or 11. I got the message that all will be seen and that light will be shown in all the dark places.
Yeah.
But what I've come to understand is not everyone needs to see everything. It just needs to be seen. It needs to be witnessed. But we don't all need to see and understand what's gone on underground, for example. We don't all need to see and understand what's going on in some back rooms, but it does need to be seen. And that was one point. What was the other one? Oh shit, it's gone. There was two things that you brought up for me, and now the other one's gone.
So to be seen, I loved how you said that, because it's true. You don't have to have the same experience. Like that creation, we are here to create, and creation wants to have different creations. Otherwise, there's no point making everybody the same. Creation, the point of creation is to create. So go create. It's literally that simple. But for us humans, we fight it. We try and pigeonhole it. We give it rules. But really, it's asking us literally to come back to our inner child and that playful state that you were way, way, way back when you first got here. Go back to that. Forget everything now. Forget everything you've been learned. Go back to there and start fresh. Come back and remember. Remember means to become a member again. Remember who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
And, that people go, well, that's really easy to say, but to actually do. But just start small, just do it in your day to day. Be aware of how you're speaking, how your voice comes across. Be aware how you're walking. Be aware of every living thing around you. Nothing where you are right now, whatever place you're in, whatever home you're in, whether you're country, rural, in an apartment, on the top of a building, living on a boat, where you are right now, every experience you've had is a tool to that moment that you're at right now. The word new, know, now, and knowing is all the same meaning if you go back to the original word. So knowing, new, now, and it all goes back to the same meaning, which is present. So, and I always say, oh, they're messing with me now, because now they're saying it's a present. So what I knew, what I know, what I now, it's all the same thing. And it collapses time for me. That understanding the origin word of those words is all the same thing. It collapses time and it goes, okay, so now I have to deal with this moment. Don't worry about the storm coming. Don't worry about the storm that we've just had. Just deal with this moment right now. Right now. Okay, so my frequency can deal with this right now. If you project yourself to worry about the storm coming, you become out of alignment and you can't deal with that now moment in the best way that you're designed to deal with it. And so if you start fear and worry, and we practice this a lot, because this has got us out of a lot of sticky situations. So it gets you out of fear and worry, and it makes your avatar, so your host, your body, read the signs around you a lot easier, and then it protects you. So it looks after you.
There's a book I read, you remember, speaking of books, many years ago, called No Ordinary Moments. And it had a profound impact on me. It was by the same, it was either James Redfield. Is that the guy who wrote, it was either the guy who wrote the Peaceful Warrior series or the guy who wrote the Celestine Prophecy series. One of them. But No Ordinary Moments. And it became a little mantra in my mind. No, there's no ordinary moments. And it would just bring me back to the present to take in everything that was going on, everything I was seeing, everything I was hearing, everything I was touching, everything I was feeling on my skin, all of that. And I just found it really, really powerful as a reminder constantly, no ordinary moments. No matter what you think you're doing, no matter how boring you think the moment is or whatever, there isn't that. There's always something. And I remembered what it was that you triggered before, which is when you're talking about, a seat at the table kind of thing. I was told in 2016 that the whole point of the way things were about to play out was to save minds. It was all about saving the minds. And I know that there are so many people out there who, and I'm myself included in terms of the frustration level sometimes, who just want to rip the Band-Aid off right now for everyone and reveal it all. And yeah, I'm there most of the time. But I know that that would break way too many minds. And like I said, we don't all need to see all of it. But and just having, I don't know, compassion and respect for what people have chosen at a higher level to witness and what they haven't. If you need to see what the pharmaceutical industry is all about, then that's what you need to see. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah. And that acknowledgement that you've said really does then, again, bring back the peace, because you understand that, and you're giving that other soul its respect. So it's humility, it's compassion, you're understanding that that other soul has a journey and a job to do, and there's no way that your soul can understand that soul's journey, no matter how well you know them. And believe me, I've tried it with Richard and it doesn't work. I think I know what he needs best. And it's not until I step back and allow him to do it his way that it unfolds for the best. And I'm like, really? You're going to test me on this now? Yeah. So, but what's interesting is what prevails and how magical it becomes. And people say say to us all the time, well, it seems really like it's almost impossible what happens to your family and what you see and what happens. And it almost seems surreal. And I guess it would seem surreal, but because we are open to it and allowing it all the time, it just seems to just keeps prevailing. We don't have a judgment on it. And because we don't have a judgment, yeah.
That feeling of surreal, when reality feels surreal, and it often comes on the tail end of highly emotionally charged experience. That to me is what reality is supposed to be. When it's got that magical feeling, it feels surreal. You're picking up on everything. That's where we're supposed to be all the time. Have you ever had one of those experiences where you've just had your heart absolutely broken and you've cried rivers and so hard, like from the toes for hours? And when you come out of that, even your vision's changed. Like everything is highlighted. The colors are extreme. Your sensitivity on every level, all of your senses are on overdrive. That to me is the state we're supposed to be in, but without the trauma that triggers it. Like, skip that bit. But that heightened, it's like our senses have just been completely dumbed down. But when we push through with emotion, we activate them all. And it's that heightened surreal state is where the magic happens.
I find for myself, I don't think I'm in a controlling state, but I must obviously sort of fall back into it a bit. being the mum of, the family and organizing all the time. And then I go into this feeling of, that's it, I've had enough. I just had enough. I just say that to Richard. It's probably happened a few times a year. And he smiles, which is really annoying.
Mhm.
He smiles at me because he knows that that's the shift point. He knows that something's happening outer world or astrology wise or something. And so he uses it as a tool for him to go, oh, cool, we're going to some new platform or something. But for me, because I'm in that state, right? So I'm in another headspace. I have to, like you said, have a cry or a scream or go out and do some serious gardening or shifting boulders or something. And then I get like that angry, that frustrated feeling that you spoke about. I feel that. And then I get the shuddering sound in my ears come through. And it's like a real thump, that shuddering noise, and it hurts. It really does hurt. And sometimes I see it through light and sometimes I hear it, but it's like a pressure feeling. And I actually have to say, all right, I get it. You can just turn it off now. I get it. 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 Turn it off now. And they turn it off. And I come back, collect myself, come back to whatever I'm doing in the family. And Richard goes, so the shifts happen. I'm like, shut up. But from that point, it always feels new, something like a new energy has come in or about to come in, and something new develops for our family in a different way that we couldn't have possibly imagined. So
That is also familiar to me. That's too funny.
It's irritating though, because I can't stress it enough how irritating it is, but because you just want to go, can't I just clean it and put it somewhere and it will fix, or fold it up, and you just can't. You just gotta. So it's again comes back to that allowing, stop projecting forward or going past. Don't just come back to where your presents are. Come back to where all the gifts are, because the gifts are there. You're just going a bit out of alignment. So now you can't collect your gifts. So you got to come back to the gift spot, which is the point. You said the point, which I loved. You said, what's the point? The point is where our YouTube just got turned off. It's the fifth element. It's the supreme being. It's the core of us that we follow. It's our path. It's the Tao. And no one can show you your compass. You have to work your compass out. I wish there was some program or manual or a link I could give to everyone to find that fifth point, but I've looked and there ain't no link.
All right, I'm going to ask if there's anyone in YouTube who has a question for you. If you do have a question in YouTube, just put it in capitals or write Q in front of it or something like that, that we could forward on to Elsa. And what about in my Zoom? Anyone in Zoom got a question, or in Telegram? You can do it there too. I'm trying to keep track of all of it. And sorry about YouTube cutting us off like that.
Lisa, can I speak?
Yeah, of course. Go for it.
So with the computer turning off or the internet turning off, people like to take that a dark way as well, but I don't get that anymore. I don't get that feeling. I feel that we're supported, and I do not believe that I would be on social media or my family if we were in a situation of problems from being on the internet. What I do feel is that there are programs or AI, and they are keeping up with the energy that's shifted. And it's hard for them too. these programs that are out there and I don't understand technology. I'm not a tech person, but I do understand that they too are keeping up with the buzziness of each of us. And they're struggling to stay with us because they're of a different form or species or being or whatever you want to call them themselves. So they're not coming in to harm us. They're actually trying to keep up. And they shut down these things because they can't actually keep up with it. So when it shuts down, yes, it's frustrating. Yes, again, it comes back to that, again, that irritating moment, but it's actually a confirmation to me that we're on the right path. So I saw it as a good thing.
I hadn't thought of it that way.
Because people always come in it as a dark energy, and it's just an energy. It's just a frequency. If you want to call it dark, well, it's dark, but it's a frequency. So that all the computers and all the technologies out there are trying to learn this buzzy feeling that we have. It would be hard for them, very hard. And so it just has a meltdown, literally has meltdowns. And it seems to be just recently where I've come into interviews with people that have, a great audience, and we come in and it's like, bang, and it shuts down. And I go, there it is. And it seems to also, the fact that it shut down on the fifth element, I just thought, wow, that's, I feel that, so that to me is a present. That's a gift. That I would class that as a present, as a clue.
Sorry, just trying to have a look and see if we've got any questions for you. Not yet. And I'm on the wrong screen. There we go. I lost you for a sec. Yeah, God, so I just forgot what I was going to say because I was checking on questions. The AI, the keeping up, the audience. You said something about the audience.
So
all of the videos, the interviews I've seen you do, your internet has always been really glitchy. And at least so far this time, as far as I can tell, I hope it's coming through as well on YouTube. It's perfect. I just thought that in itself was a little bit interesting.
A lot of people because we've only been interviewed our videos have only come out since February last year. And a lot of the people that have interviewed us have commented on our internet all the time. And Richard says to me, it only happens when you go on. As soon as I go off, it goes back to normal. And we do speed checks, and I said, babe, can you explain it? And he goes, no, but I know you're going to explain it in your way. And he goes, your way is probably more correct than any technology I can give you. And so
have you noticed though how your energy just generally affects technology? Like when I'm having a very energetic experience, downloads and visions or whatever it is, my computer, the lights, the phone, it all just starts to freak out. Yeah.
We also have you have your iPhones. My iPhone never has the same time as anybody else's. So that
you're in no
go,
time.
everyone, the kids go, you're just weird. And for a while there, they kept upgrading my phone, and it didn't make any difference. It was the same if I wore a watch as well. So it's
yeah,
okay.
I can't believe this.
Yeah, so I get it.
We do have a question, but it probably got lost when we got cut off. So in regards to these 3 phases again, if you wouldn't mind kind of repeating that a little bit. 3 phases of 3 months. I'm assuming a month of integration in between to take us
Yes.
over the 12.
So you have, I keep seeing the 3 high spin months, and then you go into a Mercury retrograde. So we have a phase where you just feel like you're stalled, and it feels like it's going backwards. But that's your take a breath. Please enjoy that moment, because the next spin it possibly could be bigger than the first 3 spins, and then you'll have another one and another one as the year goes on. And I feel that in those spin cycles, we will be, you'll probably get information through the medias, because they'll be testing where we're at. I feel that when they leak out information, I feel that they're testing where we're at all the time. And Richard will, because I don't really watch the news, but Richard will tap in and tell me stuff. And he'll say, what's your version of it? And he goes, how long? Hang on, before you speak, how long's your version of it? And I say, well, I feel like this is a test. They're testing where we're at, how they test how the public react. They want to see where the mass consciousness is going, like this, like a big, they want to feel, they don't want to, they are actually doing this with compassion. It just doesn't feel like it.
I think
So-
they've always done that. They've always
Yeah.
been testing the waters through the media,
Totally.
doing testing the collective consciousness, so to speak.
Well, before TV and radio, they would send someone out into the village and listen to what the villagers were talking about at the butchers, or they would have like literally spies. That's what they did. That's how they did it, so that they could see which way, okay, how do we create fear? How do we create this? How do we create that? So that we can move them, like, and they move them. You see how they can move you. And it's amazing how they can have what they've done in just the time that I've known Richard, like how they've changed the way we think about clouds. I mean, how can clouds change? Clouds are cloud, but the labels and everything that we've been given to clouds has changed. How can they change history from when I met Richard to now? History was history. So if they can change history, then history is not history, because it's how can something that was change? So then so that's how everything collapsed fast. Nothing's real anymore. The less real it is, the more real it is for us.
Yeah. Is there anything more you want to say on these 3 phases?
Support your body. Stand in water, drink water, go to the beach, stand in a pool, have a shower, sit on the ground, be in the sun. Eat some herbs, just some dark green herbs. And just if everyone can just act in a bit of kindness each day. If we did just those things, wow, that would just be the hugest change. Just those things I talked about. If I had just say I had a wish for humanity and we just did those things, I know that would create the hugest shift. Just by those things.
Water and history, I've come to understand that the true history is in the water. And if you want to actually know it, talk to the water and let the water talk to you.
Yeah.
Whether it's your personal history, the collective history, it's all there.
Yeah. Well, intelligence is in the water. And we always say, a bird doesn't know how to be a bird. It just knows it's a bird. How does it know? Well, how else would the next animal know that it's that? And they say, oh, well, it's hereditary or it's genetics. No, it's in the water. The codes are in the water. So one thing Richard has brought up, and I find this really interesting, is from when he was a boy fishing to now fishing, he said the fish have evolved. And I find that really interesting because most people don't think like that of animals, but the animals are going through an ascension process as well. And we
Does he
see how
mean in physical appearance they've changed, or is he talking about the way that their behavior or
their behavior and their intelligence? So what he could use as bait as a child, he can't do the same for that same type of species anymore. He had to fish now, he has to fish smarter to catch those fish because the fish have evolved in his lifetime. And we've noticed this with the animals as well. The animals have evolved. The animals know. We watch their eyes a lot and they really do know what's going on, especially what's happened in the last 3 years. The animals know. They do. They know.
and I've got a personal experience, but also was told that beings are coming into this realm in animals right now because it's quick and easy. And they come in because they've got a particular mission, maybe a message to share or a doing to do, and they come in as an animal, do it and leave. So our interactions with animals can be far more significant than they've ever been. And I do have another question for you. As a mother of 8, someone's asking, how do I let their own children find their flow without being overly motherly? It's hard not to control because we're always trying to protect them. So where do you draw that line with your guys?
Oh, this is, I always think this is kind of tricky because with the children coming in at 10 days, we did their astrology. So I would learn their personality from the stars because I believe it's a show. It's all mapped out for us. Okay. So now I've got the stars. They have been sort of really accurate, like very, very accurate. And with not only their personalities, but also dates as well, what year things would happen. They told us about this year. And so I understood then of each child. So I dealt with my own fears. I did a lot of kinesiology and stuff, so I could deal with my own fears, so I wouldn't pass them on to the kids. Now, I still have fears, but I just realized we would teach our kids everything that we knew as soon as they were capable of doing it. Whereas my parents would say, oh, you can't touch fire, or you can't hold that knife because it's too sharp, or don't be around that animal, or don't climb that's too high, or there's a lot of restrictions put on us as children. Whereas the way Richard and our belief is hurt your knee now so it doesn't break later. Get a small burn on your finger so you don't get a wound later. So we would teach them about hot water, from very young age. So we taught them how to cook and clean and take care of themselves early, which then in that process became their play as well. So we didn't buy them any toys because they want to be like you. They want to follow what you're doing. So instead of saying, no, you can't do that, you're too young, we would go, no, you're going to do this. Come on, let's do this. Come on, let's do this. So we would teach them to fish. We would teach them to be on the boat. We would let them fall in the water and almost not drown, but let them fall in the water to feel what that felt like so they could learn to float. I know these things sound really basic, but by teaching them so young, it made our life so much easier as parents as well, because they were entertained. So also the benefit of that is that our kids understand all the energies and frequencies of food groups and what herbs and spices will heal them, and what if they put that in their mouth, that will do this. If they do this, they also understand what the senses of the smells do to your energy. So then they'll go and cook meals that uplift your spirit that night. So they're not just cooking a meal now, they're cooking a meal that will help us with what the energies were of that day.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah. So see how the daily, so something as simple as cooking a meal becomes like this spiritual practice.
Did you ever read a book called The Continuum Concept?
I haven't read many books at all.
Brilliant. And anybody who has small children or is embarking on parenthood, highly recommend. It's a surprising book because it's not really what she necessarily set out to do. But it's brilliant. And it talks a lot about that, about this woman was observing a tribe from the fringes in the rainforest somewhere. And what the biggest observation she ended up making was how they are with their children. And watching babies play with machetes next to cliffs and, getting into, and no one ever got hurt. There were no accidents. And part of it was the parents just did not have that fear in them. And anybody in the Western world's experienced this. You go to the shopping mall, you go out in the street and your toddler wants to take off in the other direction. That sort of stuff never happens in these environments either, because the kids know their survival depends on their parents, and it depends on keeping up with their parents. So they don't let their parents out of their sight. So if they're walking through the jungle, those kids are keeping up. There's no, come on, you got to go this way, follow me, don't get, there's none of that. It's just keep up. But the way she's talking about bringing up children is exactly what you just spoke about. But if you've already got adult kids, my thing has always been, I'm just completely honest with my kids. I always have been. And this is just me. This is how I do things. This is what I believe. Take it or leave it. And not sort of ram it down their throats, but just trying to lead by example, I guess.
Whenever I feel the older ones are losing it with me, I go into almost to that meltdown moment again, where I've realized, okay, now I've gone into too far into the control mode again. Got to let them go. And then I realize I let the teenagers go. How do I bring them back? Well, I can't bring them back. So what do? So I become a great frequency. I have to come back to my alignment, and that will naturally attract them back. And it always does. But I have to go back to that point, that fifth element, that path. I have to come back to that frequency of where the presents are. I can't project too far forward. I can't do any blaming from the past. I have to come back to that point. As soon as I come back to the point, they come home. They come home. And our kids range from 10 to 20. So
man, God, you've got
multiple generations thrown at us. And let me tell you, if we make errors, we get picked up 10 times. Plus then we got the pets, so
8 kids in 2 years. That's hero. It's heroic as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Well done.
It was not planned.
Okay, well, we've been at this for just over an hour, so I know your time is precious with how many people you have to tend to. So thank you so much. Maybe we can do this again.
Thank you, Lisa.
There's a lot to talk about. And
It is a lot.
in regards to these spin cycles, though, where are we right now? Are we in the first one?
We've just started the first month. So it's really, we noticed it coming in, and as soon as it started, everything that was holding on in a hold mode, it just started happening for us, like within, but not slowly either, like everything on one day or in 1 hour. And so there'll be peaks in it. You'll get your higher highs and your lower lows in it. So it's kind of like a trading sort of, ebbs and flows in the cycle. So you'll have cycles in the cycles. And these cycles, I keep saying to everyone, is the same thing. You can choose which way, if you want it to be great, or if you want it to be a hard lesson, you can choose it, but you'll have to make the choice from that clear state. You can't make it when you're out of alignment, because like when you're building, if it's a millimeter out here, it's way out down that end. And that's so you have to make sure that you're calibrated. You have to make sure you're hydrated, you have your salts up, you have to make sure that you're rested, and then wait for the messages and the clues to happen, and appreciate the small, because you're not going to get big things happen for you. They're going to come in small. That's how it seems to happen. I mean, you can wait for the big things, but they become shocking and they're dramatic. So they're big, and they can be hard to handle. So if you can appreciate the smaller, it's like a training to build you up.
Yeah.
These cycles. So treat these cycles as like a training ground, and just, okay, keep coming back to that point they were talking about, that compass within, the thing we've heard all the ancients talk about. Come back to the fifth element, the supreme being, which is my soul or inner essence. Come there and wait from that point and go from there. So don't plan, just allow it to come. Don't force it to come, allow it to come. And it could be really small, and you'll think nothing of it. You'll go, oh, that, and then your brain will kick in and say, oh, it's a coincidence, or you'll get that part come in, and then you'll go, shut up.
Yep. Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks everyone on YouTube, and it's been a pleasure.
I'm so grateful to meet you, Lisa.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do this again soon.
Thank you.
Bye for now.